Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Testimony Tuesday. It has been so fun to do these every Tuesday. We've kind of skipped around here and there. Last week was fantastic with Miss Sarah. I've got Miss Kayla here today, but these 2 weeks really truly go hand in hand because last week we talked about the adoption story with Sarah. If you caught that, if not, just search my name on YouTube, Shauna Woods on YouTube. It's the easiest way to find it. You can catch all the replays. But she just kind of talked about her struggles with infertility and then how they decided to kind of go into the adoption phase and her journey through all of that. And so today we have Miss Kayla, and I will let her introduce herself and we'll kind of explain how we got connected. And it kind of connects with Sarah's story, but in a little different way because if you saw my post today, Miss Kayla now has a house full of kiddos, and we finally made it to the other side of infertility times a few.
Yes.
So, Miss Kayla, who are you?
Hi, I'm Kayla Eads, currently living in Columbia, Missouri. I'm a teacher in Hallsville, Missouri. Have been in fifth grade for about 17 years. I'm married to Tyler, and we have 4 amazing daughters now, and a dog.
And a dog.
That
Lots
sounds
of girls. You
Yes.
guys know we have all boys here, and then Kayla evens us out because she's got all girls over there. So we are reproducing well around here for the earth.
Well, and cool connection for you and I is Logan and Tinley came very near one another.
Yes.
And then Atlanta.
Yes.
And
So Kayla and I met in Hallsville. We taught fifth grade for many years together, and then I moved over to third grade. She just decided she loved the fifth grade group, and she's still there, so she must really like that group. They got a little too smelly and old for me, so I went down a little bit. But that is how we connected, and she's still there being an amazing teacher. And so, yes, we were pretty much right there together, pregnant about the same time, and kind of did life together for a while. With our oldest. And then we both kind of waited a little bit. But Miss Kayla, as you're going to find out, did not plan to wait quite as long as I did. As you guys know, there's 6 years between my oldest, Logan, and the twins. And there's about
5.5.
that. Okay.
5.5.
About that for Kayla, yes. So, Miss Kayla, I want to get us started and take us kind of back to like the American dream, right? We get married and we want to start a family. So how did that go for you right out of the gate?
Well, I met Tyler in August of 2012, and he actually has a son from a previous relationship. He just graduated high school, actually. And just right off the bat, I just felt that connection, and I hadn't really thought about having kids. I mean, I knew I wanted them, but not how many or, when that was going to happen for me. And so we got married about a year later in August of 13. We're about to celebrate our 12-year anniversary here soon. And very soon after, surprise, we found out about Tinley. And she came in 2014. And, that came with all the highs and lows and being sleep deprived. And, I was just in, I want to say, the beginning years of teaching, even though I was probably 5 years in, still trying to figure it all out. Tyler was working for a company where he was traveling. And so, Tinley and I became best buds. We were together a lot while he was on the road. And then we decided, fast forward a little bit, that we wanted more kids. And, when were we going to do that? And how far apart did we want them? And so I think Tinley was probably about 2 when we kind of had that for real discussion. And those of you, Shauna knows from experience, but those of you that aren't in education, you really have to think about when to kind of start the journey because, we do have summers off and to have a good solid maternity leave and time off, you want to build up that amount of time. And with Tinley, I think I used all my time. So I had started over. And so I probably didn't have that much time. So I wanted to try for a summer baby, of course. And so I want to say we probably started really talking about it in the summer of 2016.
Okay.
And, Tinley was there, surprise, and so we didn't think that there was going to be any troubles, but we were proven wrong
Yeah,
pretty
that's
quickly.
a good point.
Mhm,
Because you're right. I mean, Logan was the same way. He was a surprise baby.
mhm,
Kayla and I very much did life together, just in sharing all the things, the highs and lows, like she said, like I'm struggling with this. How do I do this? This kid's
mhm,
driving us crazy. We shared it all. And
mhm,
so, Kayla, we were an open book with each other and with our team, truly. And
mhm,
so we all knew, some people like to kind of do it in private and
mhm,
just, surprise if you get pregnant again. But we very much were open with each other, and so we knew that Kayla really wanted to get pregnant again.
mhm. And so we're in the summer of 2016, and we gave it the good old fashioned try. And I want to say, I very specifically remember like winter time, at the end of 17. So we tried, Googled all the things, became, I felt like very in touch with WebMD. And then we became pregnant. And then very quickly, I always tell people this, if we hadn't been trying, I would have never known I was
Yeah,
pregnant
that's a good point.
because, sorry.
I said that's a good point. That
Yeah. When you're really in the thick of it and trying, because I didn't have that with Tenley, I've mentioned that, like it was a surprise. And so when you're trying and then TMI peeing on the sticks and, you know, being sad every month, start it all over again and, using the apps. I know Shauna and I had very honest conversations. One about like money and insurance and when that started over. And then two, like app tracking and what's the best and how to do that. Like she said it perfectly. We had such a great team and we were just very open about everything. And I had like 3 miscarriages probably in the course of, trying to think about this, probably 6 months.
Yeah,
Like
at
I was,
least
yeah, I mean, it was just
it
hit, hit,
seems
hit,
so. How many of those did you actually get an ultrasound for? Do you remember?
0.
Okay.
Never. So what I feel like I've kind of blocked that out of my mind. Like when we get to the actual fertility like specialists and stuff, I have a better memory of. But I remember talking to my OB and like what is going on, because I want to say back then, they were quicker maybe than nowadays to do blood work,
Yeah.
because as I've had more children, I feel like you wait longer to like go to that first appointment. And so and I don't say this next thing to be negative at all, but I've heard and that, you kind of have to have recurrent losses for doctors not to take you seriously, but for lack of better terms right now, that's what comes to mind. Or you have to be trying for so long before you can, get into next steps to get help.
Now,
And so,
can I ask you a quick
mhm,
question?
yeah,
When you said like the 3 pregnancies
mhm,
really back to back, that was like you had a positive test, right?
yes,
And
yes,
then at some point you took a test again and then it was negative.
yes.
Okay.
Or maybe I didn't even take a test and the natural, my
Okay.
natural cycle started. And so I, consulted my doctor. And the first thing we tried after the 3 losses was progesterone, because I don't know anyone that's not familiar with anything in, fertility related. They, do the blood work. And so the HCG levels has to be above, I want to say 5 to be a positive pregnancy test. And then they check your progesterone levels because that's what helps, I don't know, I think thicken your lining, and I might be misspeaking, so sorry. And so they tried me on that for a while because my numbers, weren't great. And they were thinking, oh, maybe that's why. And
Okay.
I would like to say that throughout this whole journey, I always thought, like, I thought the progesterone, that was going to be the magic pill,
Okay.
that was going to fix me,
Yeah.
but it didn't. And so our next step, I was, what is that called? Referred. My OB, whom I love, I had with all 4 of my girls, referred me to a fertility doctor, I believe, or I found out about him through friends. I don't remember, or, somebody similar experience. And so I started going to Dr. Wilshire to kind of see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Tyler? Probably not, because I was getting pregnant. I wasn't staying pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Or like what was going on with me.
And it had to be surreal because you had Tinley,
Yes.
like that's always, there's a lot of people like Sarah last week
Mm-hmm.
that they finally figured out that they just simply couldn't get pregnant. It was a mix of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But in your case, you have a precious girl that is now 3 or more years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we did this on accident first. Why can't we now do it on purpose again?
Yeah. And that was the big thing. I want to back up a little bit because, we've talked about in our relationship, not just about kids, but like faith.
Mm-hmm.
And so throughout all of this, I was looking through my phone last night to send you, pictures that related. And I just came upon all these like quotes, or Bible verses. And I have a dear friend still teaches with me at Hallsville. I'm gonna shout her out, Lauren Terry. Thank you. That, and of course you, that just really, she had invited me to church, and I knew you and I talked all the time about, different things related to church and related to the Bible and related to religion. And she invited me to attend church. And I just, girl, very specifically remember, because let me back up a little. I grew up Catholic. And so like religion is not something that is foreign to me.
Sure.
But then life happened. I don't really feel like I connect with that anymore, that religion specifically. And so I had gone with my dad to a couple churches, and I just felt, to be honest, they were just, I don't know, looking for money. They really toted like Dave Ramsey and stuff. It just got a little weird. And so then I ended up going to Rocky Fork and Hallsville for a little bit and loved it. But I just remember, the songs just speaking to me. And like, I remember crying in the church and just like truly really enjoyed my experience there. And I do hop on still and watch church every now and again. And Lauren's invited me. I'm going to check out the Cowboy Church in Hallsville. But I know during that time just helped me really realize that, I don't know, like I didn't have to bear it all,
Sure.
and to not just go when you need things, like to go that religious path, when things are great and you're being thankful. And I also felt you kind of hit on that. Like I had Tinley. Like, was that enough? Would that have been fine?
That's what I was thinking the whole time. Cause you guys know too, that I had lost one after right before the twins. And it kind of got to that point where it was like, for me, I was like, okay, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. It was just one of those things for us. We had Logan. We were supposed to have one child. Great. Maybe God was pushing us into like the adoption phase. We didn't know, but it was very much just like that's not his plan. It's okay. But gosh, there's just so many that it is a hard pill to swallow. It's such a hard pill when you have a plan. Like we have a plan for our lives and we want this to work. And, this is what I want. And sometimes even though in our selfishness, it's like, why is God holding this from me? A lot of times it's protection and we may never know.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, sometimes when all the plan starts to unfold, we realize like I was not ready for that second child or that first child or whatever it is, it's not coming to fruition. But yeah, I think that's a good point to make, that the timing is always right in his eyes.
Yeah, because it's not like even before the fertility stuff, I got far enough to send it off for any of the chromosomal testing that you hear about, or to see if anything, like there was a purpose or a protection or a, like incompatibility, etc. And so again, I get to the next step, which I've mentioned, Dr. Wilshire, and I'm like, this is it. This is going to fix me. So this is probably because you had come in as principal for a little bit. There was a little shakeup in our school. It was around your birthday, right? Like the second semester.
Yeah, it was springtime.
Yeah.
Do I need to show this picture real quick? I think it'd be important to show little Miss Tinley.
Oh, yes.
And you tell me when any of the other pictures need to come up. But
Oh, yes.
so this is what we're talking about, and we've got a beautiful family. Like, we're happy.
And I'm glad you brought this one up because so the end of 2017, still not pregnant, tried the progesterone suppositories, that wasn't the fix. And so we're actually at a Mizzou basketball game here. And I like to shout out my friend Kylie. Kylie, she gave us tickets because my birthday was the next week. And I can't quote her obviously this many years later, but basically said like, you guys have been going through so much, take a night out, go watch the Mizzou basketball team. And I just very remember her being, that was just so special in that moment. And of course, other friends did things throughout the, all of this, but I had a
and
picture
she
of
could
that.
commiserate. When you're a woman that can commiserate a little bit more, like you've kind of been through the thick of it too, then you just feel more for those going through it.
Exactly. And so, yeah, we went to the game, happy faces. I was, like I already said, when you told me to go through pictures, you couldn't have told me now that anything was wrong then, smiling faces, Tinley had no idea, Tyler smiling in pictures. We're out doing things as a family. And unless you were close with me, I mean, I've talked to many people since then, but like you didn't know. And one of my core memories with you, it's not really a happy one for me, but I remember you were the principal and our good friend Al was, important to know, he had windows out to where we park. And I was sitting in my car crying one time before school started. And Al reached out to Shauna, who was our admin, and was worried about me. And during all of this, because I still had to get up and fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I had to go to school. I mean, as many people that have gone down this road, you have to go to work, you have to make a living. And, sometimes and to think back on it now, that was the best thing. Sure. I don't need to sit home and take sick days or take personal days and just be in my thoughts, and be miserable. And so, I just needed a minute because, I don't know, Sean, if you remember, but about this time before you were pregnant with the twins, a couple other people in the school had announced they were having babies.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of triggered, something in me that day. And of course I was happy for them, but just, it makes you sad for yourself.
Yeah, it does. It's almost kind of like you create this can be with grief, this can be with loss, this can be with a lot of different things, but it's kind of like you build a bubble around yourself and you just can't see out of that. It's like, that there's a better world out there. That there's a lot of other bad, terrible things out in the world, that this really isn't a huge deal, but in the moment, like it's huge for you. It's your reality and you're carrying it. And sometimes you kind of have to carry it alone and you kind of have to carry it in secret. And that can be a heavy weight to carry.
And to just be a good friend. I like to think I'm a pretty positive person. And, when, and we'll get to when you had told us about the twins at dinner that night. I very remember that too. You just, you want to be happy for them, and I think a lot of things have come out since more people are being vocal about this on how to handle that, how to tread lightly, what to say, what not to say, etc. So, but yeah, not everyone, you're carrying it and you're like, but everyone should know this about me, but they don't, people shouldn't dismiss their happiness, to protect. Like, it's just such a fine line.
It's the quote that's something about like, don't judge that person because you have no idea what they're carrying. That's exactly what it is.
Yes, exactly. And so here we are, Dr. Wilshire, gosh, bless him. His office is right over there by Boone Hospital. So that was very easy to get to because I would go, I had the blood work all done right across there. But we went and, we both got checked, spare you the details there. Both got checked. Tyler's great, as we
Good
could
job,
assume,
Tyler.
right? Yeah, good job. Still joke about all of that to this day. And he like does the full workup for me. We have a conversation in his office. A kind of funny story, a little mortifying at the time. One of the nurses was one of my former students' moms. So,
Perfect.
she got to see a lot. And they concluded that I guess these were just bad eggs. That's all. There's, all my levels, hormones. I don't know what goes into the workup. I don't have any of that paper now, but just bad eggs. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
I just thought that was a saying. That's just a bad egg.
Yeah. Nope. I had quite a few. And how old would I have been at this time? Because I had Tinley later in life. I was 28. And, they tell you the older you get, you only have so many eggs from birth. And so, again, Shauna, just like you said earlier, like maybe Tinley's it. Like, like almost mentally preparing yourself for all of that. And so he decided our path forward would be to try IUI, which I believe is intrauterine insemination.
Okay.
And so this feels weird to talk about as a human, but they take the stuff, from the man. It's like a turkey baster and like, get you prepped. They actually like give you have to take shots at home. They check like your follicles, check your ovary size because, they don't want you. So you go in, I don't really remember the timeline now, but go in before the whole IUI actual procedure and check that you haven't made too many follicles because the chances then of multiples, with people already going through infertility, for whatever reason, increases and could obviously be, health issues. And so it was quite a few appointments that I remember, or, just getting all the medicine, doing the shots at home. The picture I shared with you of it's not very good quality, so you don't have to pop it up, but I had gone to Iowa and right there. You can't see it very well. My two friends from high school, one of them, the blonde, had to give me the shots because it was, it has to be very specific in your cycle. And so, she helped me with that. We did, well, let me see. So the first time I think it was like, fine, Tyler did it. He was the first and like gave me the shots, prepped me, all of that. I don't remember them being like especially painful or anything, but probably. And then you go in, you're completely like awake. You're not under anything because it's not, they just stick it in there, push. I did have to lay there for X amount of time, 30 minutes or less, probably just to, let everything settle. And then, of course, you get excited. The 2-week wait, as everyone experiences, no matter, the path you're on, I believe, came, or I was going through it. And let me think, this was probably March. We're now in March of, I very specifically remember this, March of 18.
Okay.
So we started talking about this when Tinley was 2.5. She's now 4.
Okay.
March of 18 and did the first round, went in, pretty sure, because when did you tell us about the twins? I want to get my timeline right. When would you have been pregnant with the twins?
They were born in March of 19. So
June. Okay.
Yeah, I felt like it was summer of 18.
Okay. Well, then this wasn't the time then. No, maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. You'll have to see if you remember it differently. So it had worked. Went in. I think they just checked my HCG. Do blood work because that early, ultrasound, too early. Yeah. Great. And then went back for an ultrasound, and no, maybe they did do an ultrasound that first time and blood work. I don't know, just to see how things are progressing, even though it wouldn't be as much as you could see later.
Yeah.
Things were fine. It had worked. And then by the time I went back 2 days later, unsuccessful. That was the first time. So again, my mantra at the time was like, this, this is going to be it. This is going to be my path. Like, you had to pay. Let me just talk about the pay. You had to pay everything up front. So every time at this time, 2018, we were going through this, it was at least $800. And so, yeah, it was just, it was a commitment through and through. Sure. Emotional, monetary, physical, time. I did get lucky in the sense of they opened very early. I want to say at like 7:30 a.m. So they were very accommodating. I believe we were still teammates at the time, if I'm correct in my thinking. And like, messaging you or messaging Al, like I would be there, stand between the curtains at the time. Yeah. Again, having a solid like work team, yeah. Outside of obviously my family was solid, was imperative, to lean on, and administration alike, which was you.
Yeah. I'm going to say just something real quick that might help the friend that is going through it with a friend. Because that was me in this scenario here. And I'll never forget it first when, like you were saying earlier, when it was the apps and the cycle logging data. And like she had everything. She had it all nailed down. Here I am, like, I don't even know when my cycle's coming, And Kayla was like, well, here's my calendar, like she knew. Okay. And at one point, I'll never forget this. At one point I looked at her and I was like, girlfriend, like, you just got to calm down. Like, you just gonna have to let some of it go. But when I tell you teachers are type A, there is no shame in that. But I am not kidding when I say that they have a planner and a calendar and a Google calendar that connects with that and everything else in between that will tell them exactly the day to day. And so they've got a plan, right? And that was Kayla to the T. And at one point, I think it was when I was principal, Kayla, and you came in, and it was probably a whole mix because we all know that teaching is just overwhelming. And it was almost summer, like springtime is nuts for a teacher. And she was going through the thick of it and losing left and right. And I remember her coming into my office and just kind of broke down. I don't know if you remember this, Kayla. And I knew exactly what it was. Of course, I'm sure she was carrying other burdens at that point too, but I knew exactly what it was. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was like, just take a moment here. Like, I can pray for you. And you just have to put this down. Like, you have to put it down at the ground and stop picking this up.
Yeah.
And so that's me as the friend in this scenario. And it can be hard when, like, you want to say something to the person, but you don't know how to comfort them. But, your opinions don't really matter at this point. So just kind of keep those to yourself. You know what I mean? But you might not be the person going through the infertility. You might be the friend or the family member. I just had a grandma ask me about this the other day, Kayla. And I told her, I said, there's really no words that are going to help. But at the same time, like, she has to understand that it could be stress. It just could not be her time. But tell her not to stress herself out, like it's going to happen.
Yeah. And I think that, again, we've kind of said this, but having Tinley, right? People are probably like, well, you already have one. People say the wrong thing all the time.
Yeah.
You already have one. Why is that not enough? Well, that's clearly not it. It's not it at all. And I want to hit what you just said is the friend thing, because I've also been in the opposite role, right? Where I've had friends going through things such as this. And it stinks because you hit the nail on the head. There is nothing you can say that makes it better, right? Like, people try, but they generally, you did not ever say the wrong thing, but like they generally say the wrong thing, right? Because Yeah. Or, older relatives, your grandma, just practice more. They just say what they think is right. But just to be there, as you did for me and many other friends did as well, is just to listen.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you were going to say to me that was going to fix the issue, right?
Yeah,
You weren't going to
right.
snap your fingers. And I would also like to talk about, because somebody said it to me, and I don't think we think about this often, like how it felt to be Tyler in this time.
Yeah.
Which he's much different from me. I'm very type A. He's more go with the flow. I'm like, what are we doing 3 weekends from now at 12 p.m.? And he's like, excuse me, what am I doing at 12 p.m. tomorrow? Or in 5 minutes. And so, I mean, he was great and was there for me. But again, there's nothing to say, and yeah, to make it better. But
Right. When you want it so bad, they're on a path. They know what they want. It's so hard.
Yeah. And just not give advice, like as much as you. Yeah. So it worked. Things were fine. Then they weren't fine. And then, of course, you have to wait till your levels get down to 0. It's not like we did this in March. Okay, turn around in April. That's not how it works because, hello, your body has to get back to normal. I wasn't far enough along ever to need a DNC, which is like a surgical procedure, to make sure you're back to normal. I never made it that far. As I already said, if I wasn't checking or going to this fertility doctor, it would have just been a late period, And so that would have been, we said March to April-ish. And then fast forward to when we had dinner.
Yep.
Like June and July-ish, or maybe it was March, because I don't know that it coincided. Well, anyway, you can correct me here in a minute. So it comes to like June, my body's back to normal. I've had a cycle. They want to make sure, start the shots, get all the meds again, go in, do a second one in June. And then we had dinner. I don't know if it was before or after. Do you want to speak?
You knew.
Okay. That I wasn't?
No, you knew there were 2.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. So I did the IUI again. I talked a little bit before about multiples and I had just gone to like an appointment, right? And when we went to dinner that night. Mm-hmm. And so did the IUI again. Tyler has to go in. I have to do all the shots, go in, lay down, take a test however many days later. It was positive. Go back and do the HCG. And I think the numbers were just nuts, right? So again, it's going to be okay. When you get those high numbers, hundreds, thousands, whatever it happened to be at the time, you're like, yes, we've got it.
Light.
Yes. Pretty sure they gave me an ultrasound. Yes. And then they mentioned twins. And I also very remember we were in our old house. I remembered like even telling some of Tyler's family. I mean, girl, what was I? 4 weeks max. And then started freaking out about daycare costs, which is funny now to think about, like, oh, paying for 2. Freaking out about daycare costs, mention it. But then by the time I go to the next appointment, I think before I have dinner with you, I think we had realized like neither.
I think it was after because.
You think? Because I was sad.
At dinner, I didn't know that this was happening yet. Because Jessica was with you. She knew. And I didn't know any of that was happening. And it was all the girlfriends around. And at this point, Ryan and I had our 8 or 9 week appointment. We knew that we had twins, had an ultrasound, all that. And so I was like, I have
lost your other baby. You had lost the other baby. You guys had gone through all that.
Yeah, this was the real deal. Mm-hmm. And I was like, guys, I have something, crazy to tell you. And I said, we're pregnant with twins. And Kayla acted weird. She just acted weird. Like I can read her like a book at this point. And Jessica, another good friend of ours beside her, was also a little weird. And I was like, okay, all right. I know, like it's crazy. I cried too. There's twins, whatever. And she was like, me too. And at this point, again, going back to the friend thing, you start to get really nervous to celebrate with them when there's been multiple losses, because you also don't want to get your hopes up, or you want to kind of keep them low because you don't want them to get on a high and then they crash back down. And so it kind of went like, I'm having twins, to me too, to like, okay, you know, and then you don't know what to say.
Looking back on that, like, obviously love you. It was a crud time, like, to be me as a friend to you, because
It was
happy. Of course you're stressed. Then you had already, maybe it was this. I like to think, I'm a pretty good friend. Maybe it was like you had already made it to the hurdle of like, 8 to 9 weeks. Happy, saw all the things, good to go.
And I wasn't going through all the things that you were, it was kind of like, we just tried again and now we have twins. Well, thank you, Jesus. I don't know why.
But you went through the thick of it, with the loss, because how far along you were? Like, you had gone to an appointment or two, right?
Yeah. It definitely, medicine had to pass all that.
And then, I don't want to be on either end of this, whether you're that far down the road or where I was in the early losses. I can't, you think you're fine, and then you're not. But yeah, it's just heartache regardless. So yeah, 2, again, go to the next appointment. I don't think, I remember very specifically calling my mom, like bawling in the parking lot. I had gone by myself, by the way, to these appointments because Tyler's job, I don't even know, he would have still been in the same place he is now, but like his work schedule, he was on a truck, not conducive to coming to these early appointments. And so I think I called my mom first, to be honest, and just like bawled. Like, there were 2, now there are 0. Like, that is, a lot to take in. It felt just like a punch to the gut, worse than what I had been experiencing.
And you saw the ultrasound, like you saw a tiny little seed,
Yeah. 2. I don't know if the specifics of it all. Again, not far enough along, no DNC needed. Let me rewind. So I found out that it had worked, this second one. We were on family vacation, me and Tenley, her first trip ever to the beach. Yes, right there with my in-laws. Tyler didn't get to come, but happy time. I very specifically remember peeing on a stick at the end of that vacation, FaceTiming Tyler, like it worked. And then all that I've already explained happened. School's about to start, our anniversary. I very specifically remember the song Mercy. It's a country song. Why'd you have to go on just to hurt me? It says. And I'm like, we're going to celebrate our anniversary. I found out, things weren't looking so good. I'm like crying in the car. We're going to drop Tinley off at my aunt's. Like, all this stuff is happening, celebrating how 5, I guess, years at that time with the greatest person ever. Again, have Tinley. She's 4, such a fun time in life. And yeah, just absolute heartbreak again. Fake it till you make it. School starts. I'm back being busy, and then I want to say, so that was probably what we said, June. So again, cycles have to regulate. I think pretty soon after, or maybe I had found out before that about the loss, but it just hit me, around our anniversary. And I think we tried again, I want to say like end of August. So I believe this is still true this day, they'll let you do IUI 3 times.
Okay.
I think that's like the norm, at least, I've heard a couple of different fertility places in town, Dr. Wilshire, 3 times, and I'm 2 for 2 on it working. Again, bad eggs. So yeah, it's the end of August. School started. Try one more time. Worked again. And then same just one. There weren't any other twin scares. Worked again, and then was told, I do remember, ultrasound, nothing. And so Dr. Wilshire looked like absolutely devastated for us. Tyler was there with me in this one. Absolutely devastated for us. Because again, there's not really, it's not like he can give me this magic medicine or, clean something out or do anything that's just going to fix it if it's just an egg issue.
Right.
And so every time, by the way, I think they gave me medicine because I told you I wasn't ever far enough along for like the DNC. So take medicine to like naturally have your body, I want to say dispel. That sounds like a terrible word, but
that's what I did too. We get it.
Yeah. And so my friends, you can show the wedding picture if you'd like. Caleb and Amy were getting married. I believe it was September 8th of 18 is when this is from. And I had gone into the doctor that the week before, and I had told Tyler, I'm not taking these meds. We're going to our friend's wedding. You're in it. Tinley's in it. Because then, it's like a normal cycle, but it's going to be a bit heavier because, there was a growing child. And I cannot take these meds. I can't do it. So I did not do it that weekend. I didn't, feel anything, like nothing happened. Then I think I waited all the way till the next weekend. So my body wasn't, doing anything on its own. And so that would have been September 15th. And so they had told me at the doctor, like, your next step is IVF.
Okay.
And I told Tyler, I'm mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm physically exhausted and I'm emotionally done. Plus, to be very honest, I don't have tens of thousands of dollars to give to this, and at that point, I thought this was it.
Yeah.
Our journey was done. Fertility doctor couldn't help us. We've done everything we could, but I have to be done for at least now. Because what are we in? We're in 2018. I was, what's that, 35? I was going to be 35. I wasn't any spring chicken by then. Maybe that's not right. I can't do math. But yeah,
I remember that. But it almost was like you finally laid it all down and never picked it back up.
Mm-hmm.
The whole lay down your cross kind of thing. Different in this case, but when we get so anxious about things, we, want something so bad, we go after it so hard. And many times we run into failure. We don't succeed at everything that we want or everything that we try. And I do remember Kayla being very devastated because why wouldn't you be? She just went through living hell and many losses. And you almost have to grieve every one of them. But yet she didn't really have time to do that because then it was right back at the doctor to do the cycle all over again. And it was almost like when she let that go, everything changed.
Well, we had 7 losses in less than a year. If you count every positive pregnancy test, right? 7 losses. And so, I just said, for my own well-being, nothing tumultuous was happening, between Tyler and I, because sometimes this can cause big rifts, in relationships, both friendships and, loving relationships. And so the fertility doctor, said the next step is IVF. Tyler and I were like, but we can't, and they said, if you don't start your period, your cycle after, your normal cycle, the meds and stuff, and that did not count as a cycle, then come back in 30 days. And I had decided I'm not going back to have you help with my cycle. My body has been through so much already. I just want my body to do its thing. When it starts, it starts. Like I was not anymore peeing on sticks, to track ovulation, like was not. So September happens, school, we're doing all the, family fall things. October happens. And I want to say, I was trying to figure this out. It was either October or November. It was probably October. It was around Kylie's birthday. We had gone, and I think I saw you tag me October 26th, the picture of my tattoo. So that tattoo, it means God is greater than the highs and lows. So through all of this, and I don't know, I don't want to say, maybe it's normal. Maybe it was just how it was meant to be. I told you I'd gone to church. I was like, this like sums it up. Still have it, by the way. Still have it. Like this needs to be something that sticks in my mind, right? Like something I tell myself. So that's October 26th. We must have had Friday PLC day. I don't even know. And around that time, I'd gone out, I think, like Halloween shopping. Kylie, Madeline, Jess, I think. We had gone to eat at, oh gosh, what's that place called downtown? Addison's. We're in Target. Let me preface this, hadn't had my period again because I was just, letting the Lord, my body do its thing. And I just felt so terrible walking around the mall. Like that feeling when you eat too much and you just want to like some relief. And I don't know, it was either Kylie or Madeline were like, you need to like buy a test. I'm like, yeah. No.
Over that.
No. Like that doesn't make any sense. But I did. And I immediately get home and take the test, and it is as solid as dark or darker than the control. And I immediately, Shauna, were you there with us? I don't believe you were there.
No.
Immediately saw like the dark lines. So I'm like, oh, good God. But again, like heart guarded because the eighth time, I don't even think we're still at a year of going through all of this, maybe a little over. And so I'm like, what do I do? So I remember, was it your classroom? Okay, this would be end of 18. What were you doing? Had you moved to third or were you still in fifth?
Yeah, I was pregnant with the twins then.
Okay. So I guess Al's room. I very specifically remember being in that front room. And I'm like, I guess I have to call the fertility doctor, right? Because like, do I call my OB? Do I call the fertility doctor? Because, I never did call them about not starting. And I go in, blood work, here we go again. And like, whatever, the next day, whenever they got me in. And they don't call me the entire day. And I'm like, cool, right? Like, what does this mean? I remember I had a meeting with the lovely John Downs at the end of the day. And so we're in this meeting and I see Dr. Wilshire's like number pop up. And I step out of the room, like panicking, shaking. And they told me my HCG, which is like the hormone, was in the like upper 30,000s or just something nuts. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. I'd be like, am I dying? Like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. Like, of course, I feel very, again, like I couldn't be a fertility doctor, but, I felt like I knew all the ins and outs and whatever. And so I went back and Jess, you mentioned Jessica happened to be in the room and just like elated. And so then I sent you that picture. Fast forward, like we go out trick-or-treating. I remember, not feeling very good because it's the end of October. We're out trick-or-treating, not feeling good. I remember looking a mess and thinking, happy thoughts, watching Tenley and Tyler trick-or-treat, like thinking about the little bun in the oven. Because by then, my numbers were all good. I think we had gone in for at least a scan, to make sure things were fine. And then, I don't know if you want to show, can you show the little manger picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this when I was going through, Shauna had asked me for pictures on my phone, November 20th, like right after. I just felt like this picture, I screenshotted it. I don't even know where it came from. Like, I don't know. And this, again, just hit me in all the feels, right? Because I don't want to be fake and say, I gave it all to God and just didn't think about it ever, of course. But like, it just touched me, that specific picture. And like, I felt saved by, the gift I was gifted with. And of course, if you're a religious person, you know what that means for you. And it just, touched me. And so then on December 5th, I think the last picture, almost the last picture I sent you, we went in. Oh, I forgot about that one. No, that one's good. And then where did that one go? I was on, when I was still on Instagram, I saw this person. She had gone through a loss of her 3-year-old, and she had put up these Bible verses. And this one also just absolutely spoke to me. Again, just not fearing. He's with us. It will all be okay. Things will come. And so I remember this influencer like bawling, by the way, in the bath because, yeah, she had lost her child and we were going through all of that. And then on December 5th, we got cleared from Dr. Wilshire. Couldn't believe it. The sonogram pictures I sent you.
I got that one.
Oh, that's all right. Here, I can show you.
Okay.
Sonogram pictures of little now Lana. We got cleared. They were all, that's the best feeling in the world. Obviously, your friends and family being happy for you. Tinley was over the moon. Just them, cheering you on, because I wasn't with them super long, but just knowing that they wanted, success.
Yeah.
And then around Christmas time, we found out that little Lana was a girl. And our former principal at Hallsville, Miss Stacy Fick, shout out, made me this sign. I sent you that picture. I don't know if you have it.
You're going to show that one too. I don't think I got the second part of your picture.
Okay. It says, "For this child we have prayed." And then Tinley's holding up a little onesie that says "worth the wait." And yeah, found out it was a girl, which during this time period, Frozen was popular. So Tinley was excited, like Elsa. She was in there when we found out. We were having a girl, and then, FaceTimed everyone. And yeah, so Lana is 4 months younger than the twins, but they're all in first grade.
Yeah.
And then, do you want me to keep going with my story?
Yeah, we're running a little bit low on time.
Yeah, I'll speed it up. So then Tyler and I were like, probably at this point, I tell people, if Lana would have been a boy, maybe we would have stopped. And in hindsight, I don't know, I never had my eggs tested, but like, am I not compatible to carry boys? Like that thought ran through my mind, because I'm going to talk about my 2 other daughters after Lana. So Lana was 1-ish, and we're like, okay, if it takes us as long to have another baby, and we really want another baby, we've got to go. And so Lana turned 1 in June of 2020, and we decided to try again, I guess around that time. And by September of 2020, I had a positive test. I went in for an ultrasound at my normal OB, and kind of got a little shock to the heart, because I had still been feeding Lana, and so my cycles were like awkward. And they were like, well, if you're supposed to be 7 weeks from like your last period, this doesn't look like, you know, a 7-week ultrasound. So we'll send you down for blood work. And so again, I think I'm reliving, although I'm, you know, think I'm further along, reliving all of that again. I even told Tyler, like, here we go again.
Yeah.
But my HCG, they gave blood work, was fine. I just wasn't as far along because, again, I was still feeding Lana. So I think hammering down that date was kind of hard. And so then Mila, my 4-year-old, arrived in May of 2021.
Good timing as a teacher.
Yes, May 12th. And so Lana wasn't even 2. And then to add on to the crazy,
I mean, why not?
Maybe if Mila was a boy, we would have stopped, but love my girl gang, just throwing that out there. So Mila would have been, I guess, 2. So in 2023, we only tried for, I probably started trying in like March or April because, again, the whole teacher thing. And I didn't have any days. You know, I just had Lana, had Mila, didn't have many days. We tried again. And by, June, so just a few months, Edie was in the womb.
And I remember at this point, I'm like, are you doing this on purpose now? Like, you need to stop.
You know how this happens. Yes. And so I've had 4 C-sections with all 4 girls. Edie was born March 7th of 2024. And then I got my tubes removed.
We're done.
Yeah. We are done. I like to call us the Beatles, you know, like Eads, you know.
Nice.
The 4 girls. And it's just, you know, at the time, you talked about this at the beginning, you know, having the age gap wasn't something I obviously wanted, but it really did work out beautifully and as it should have, because, you know, when we were at home during the pandemic, Tinley was old enough to help and play and, you know, have a little partner in crime. Yes. And so
I love Kayla's story so much because, like, Sarah's last week, there was issues between both of them. They just knew that they had to find an alternative, right? Mm-hmm. With Kayla, I just love her story so much because it was like accidental pregnancy to infertility issues to bam, bam, bam. You know, I mean, and it's almost like there's no true scientific research to explain it all. You know, it's just one of those, like, it wasn't in the plan for whatever reason for, you know, a few years. And then, oh, sure, you're great at this girl mama thing. We'll just give you a few more, God says.
Yeah.
And here we are.
I know. I mean, I truly believe everything, happens for a reason. From, you know, meeting friends, meeting your loved one, meeting your children. It's just been phenomenal. Like, really, to just think back, you know, when you asked me to do this, just to think back on that time period. And
it does kind of make you have to dig up some skeletons in a way, you know, like you said at one point, like, I've kind of blurred that part out. And Sarah last week said the same thing. She's like, that part of my story is just kind of like gone, you know, because maybe that's what our human brains do. Like, the trauma, we just like, we don't need to keep that, you know.
But it's so nice now to, I mean, obviously be on the other side of it and just to have that empathy for others, you know, going through it. And I think now people talk about it a lot more. Yeah. I was so nervous. I don't know why. Shout out to you to, like, tell my story. I got a little emotional thinking about it last, you know, week or whenever we were talking about it. But like you said, it's just a conversation. It's just 100% being honest and just talking about yourself.
It is. It that grandma was telling you about it, and I won't give any specifics to keep it very low key, but she was asking me because she knew that I'd lost one and kind of been through it, but she just deeply wanted some way to, like, give her granddaughter help or words of encouragement or something. And I just like this, you know, her granddaughter's very much trying to live it out, experience it, go through it on her own in private. And, if that's you, that's you. A lot of people are very private, but at the same time, like when I lost mine and realized like I had to post, remember, because I told everybody. And so when you do that, everyone of course gives you feedback and I'm so sorry, da da da. But the amount of women, I'll never forget, they'll reach out to me to let me know that they had gone through it too. I was like, I did not realize how common this was. Now, Kayla's scenario, not near as common, right?
Yeah.
Let's just put that under there. But it is. It's just let it be known, because it's a common thing. And I said this in my last, when I gave my testimony about losing one, Kayla, but my doctor told me that many, many times the body will, in her scientific doctor terms, said rid of the baby. So basically the body realizes that something's not quite right. And therefore it knows, because God has created these crazy, amazing bodies as a human, to know that if something's not right, I need to evacuate, essentially. And I was like, that helped me so much, because now I'm proud of my body.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I'm actually a rock star.
Yeah.
I'm not a failure. I now am realizing that like this is supposed to happen, because there was something wrong that if I would have carried it, who knows? I don't know. Not to say anything's wrong, but like maybe they would have a birth defect of some sort.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was thankful.
Yeah.
And it's just like that mind shift. There's perspective shift.
Yeah. It's just so hard, like we've touched on, to think about any of the positives in the thick of it, and I had friends, brought me goodies or spa packages, like they were very much there for me, and so grateful for that. But yeah, you touched it. People aren't alone, just knowing, like if talking about it helps, talk about it. And just if a friend is going through it, I mean, don't ask them all the time how things are going. They'll disclose what they want to, just letting them know that you're there.
Yeah.
For, good and bad, just as a friend overall, not just this specific issue, but, if they ever need to talk.
Amen. And that's what I was going to ask, if you had any just last words of encouragement or advice or anything. And so think about first that a second, if you want to add anything else to that. But there's just so many nuggets that you can take away from this interview. And so please share this out. Use the chat to give Kayla some words of encouragement. Tag someone or share this with someone that you might know that's going through it. There's just, it something helps the soul when you realize that there's more people out there. It's not just you. You're not in this alone. And when you lay it all down, sometimes you're stressing yourself out too much. So,
yeah.
Kayla, put your calendar away.
Yeah. Right. I would just say, like the big thing, stay busy, when you're in the thick of it. Go hang out with friends, go by yourself, read a book, like find things that you enjoy. Because if you just sit in wherever you are at in this journey, it just can be so overwhelming. I'm a talker. I like to tell everyone everything. So my closest friends knew what I was going through. I think even having one person to talk to. And one bit of advice I learned from my mother-in-law, she read this in a magazine, to ask people when they come to you about anything, do you want me to, I don't know how she said it. It was in a magazine. Do you want me to be a listener, or do you want me to like offer advice?
Yes.
Because, like Shauna said, she was just a listener. She knew what was going on, but she just listened, telling me, like, breathe, go on a walk, you'll be fine. Like, no. Some people do want that.
Sure.
But yeah, do you want me to listen, or do you want me, to like help you with whatever you're telling me or venting to me about, or, and I thought that's just very wise for anyone in life, because we're just so quick to just want to put, a Band-Aid or fix it, or, and that just sometimes is not what people need or want.
That's a great point. I feel like husbands might need to learn that sometimes too.
I'll try to find the exact wording, because, and put it in the comments, but yeah, I just thought that was just a very
I like that.
sound piece of advice for any.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, Kayla, we appreciate you. Thanks for taking an hour out of, we're both like, we're like in our own little corners that we were talking about in
Yeah.
our house, lock the door.
Yeah.
It's summer. Kids are everywhere.
I'm in Tinley's room with the Woodsmore decor sign.
Yeah, she's not tea. I love it. Kayla, hang on for just a second. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you. Again, share this out if you can. Let others know if their mom is out there just trying to reproduce in this world. Okay? We'll talk to you guys later. God bless.